take a moment and look at the tag on the back of your shirt. Where was your shirt made? Could be Bangladesh, Haiti, could be El Salvador, could be anywhere in the world. And think about the food in your refrigerator. How much of that is locally grown? How much of that's in season? Or that computer you're watching me on? Wow, it's got gold, copper, aluminum, zinc, lots of unusual metals in it. And are those locally made? No. We are a global society. We trade globally. We can have anything from the world around to our house. But we're not the first ones. That's also true of ancient Egypt as well. One of the first trade expeditions was from a pharaoh by the name of Hatshepsut. She's really famous for that. It's a female pharaoh. Instead of becoming a great warrior, she became a great trader. And she sent men and traders out to look for goods, to look for expensive things. And they find the kingdom of Punt. And Punt is maybe Yemen, maybe Somalia. We're not exactly sure where it was. But they had luxurious items there. You had baboons that they brought in for pets. They had myrrh, which is in Egypt, find the kingdom of Punt. So she's really famous for that. It's a female pharaoh. Instead of becoming a great warrior, she became a great trader. And she sent men and traders out to look for goods, to look for expensive things. And they find the kingdom of Punt. And Punt is maybe Yemen, maybe Somalia. We're not exactly sure where it was. But they had luxurious items there. You had baboons.
Yeah.
In for pets. They had myrrh, which is an ancient spice. They had perfume, gold, ebony, which is a really dark wood. Whatever.
Nếu con xong bài này con gửi mẹ bạn đóng nha. Đừng để tới cuối ngày mới gửi.
Flavored banana, those dark
Cuối
greens.
ngày gửi mình mà.
That's
Cuối ngày
ebony.
gửi mẹ con không kịp.
Lovely, luxurious.
Rồi.
Items. And on the tomb of Hatshepsut, we see those items there. Now that's really cool stuff, but it's not exactly going to make you a superpower. Now it does make them rich, but not exactly a superpower. If you want to be really rich and powerful, and particularly powerful, you want good weapons, right? Well, the Egyptians only had stone tools and some copper tools. What they wanted is what other people had, and that was bronze. Now, how do you make bronze? Well, you have to heat up the metal until it melts, which is pretty impressive. And you take copper and you melt it down, and then you add some tin in it. Problem, Egypt has absolutely no tin. A little bit of copper, not much tin. So how are they going to get that bronze weapon? Because they are rich, now they want to be powerful. Well, there's an island called Cyprus in the Eastern Mediterranean, and that was known for making tools, and in particular, making bronze. And so the Cyprus people start to make bronze. Now here's the problem. Cyprus doesn't have copper or tin either. So they're going to have to trade for it. Where does that tin come from? Well, some of it comes from Turkey, which is not so far away. But some of it comes from Afghanistan, which is forever away in the ancient world. How did they get all of that? How much real trading is taking place in the ancient world at the time of the New Kingdom? Well, in 1982, we found this ship off the coast of Turkey. And it was a trading vessel. And it was remarkable. I mean, it was like anything you could want was on that ship. It was 14th century, New Kingdom, probably about the time of Ramses II, on this ship off the coast of Turkey. And it was a trading vessel. And it was remarkable. I mean, it was like anything you could want was on that ship. It was 14th century, New Kingdom, probably about the time of Ramses II. And so they're doing underwater archaeology and they're bringing up all of these incredible things. Now, I'm just going to go through really quickly and I'm going to read to you a list of what they had. They had, again, raw tin and copper. They also had a scarab, which is a little jewel that's made into like a bug with gold on it and ivory. They had jars with other pottery. They had shells to make purple dye, blue glass, a cylinder of seal, ivory, amber, ostrich shells, perfume, incense, ebony, gold chalice, and 3,000 bronze swords. That's a lot. But the problem is, where do they come from? So we're going to trace them on this map, and we're going to show you exactly how much trading was being done in the Eastern Mediterranean and what went where. All right. Now remember, this is all on one ship. One ship. Okay, so the tin we talked about came from Afghanistan or maybe Turkey. The scarab made of gold and ivory. came from Egypt. It had hieroglyphics written on it. And one of them even talked about Nefertiti, who was a pharaoh's wife in ancient Egypt. The jars with pottery came from the ancient Greeks. Also the Phoenicians. By the way, Phoenicians, you're going to learn a lot about them this year. Very cool group, live in what today is Lebanon, all right? They also had the shells that made the purple dye. The Phoenicians were the only ones who knew how to make this purple dye, and so those shells were actually on this ship. There's glass. Back to the Phoenicians again, they're awesome. But here's the cool thing. It was blue glass. How do you make blue glass? They would bring in lapis lazuli, which was a blue stone from Afghanistan, grind it down, and add it to the glass. So again, they're trading with Afghanistan. There's a cylinder seal, which is like you would roll it down and it would press into the clay, and it was all in cuneiform, so it's from the Mesopotamian king at the time. We have ivory. Now here's the cool thing. Ivory, you're thinking Africa, right? No, at this time in history, there are hippopotamuses and elephants in what is today's Syria. Now they will shortly become extinct, but they still have ivory from those animals. We also have amber. Now amber is a stone, but it used to once be sap from a tree. And these were from Northern Europe, so that came the furthest. There's an ostrich egg from North Africa, and there's perfume and incense, probably from Punt, which might be Yemen. Ebony, which came from Kush, which is south of Egypt, that dark wood, and 3,000 bronze swords. Where did they come from? Well, the Phoenicians and the Greeks. So when you look at this, the entire Eastern Mediterranean was trading with each other, very much like we are today. So what does having all of this in one boat mean? Well, a vast network of trade. What does that mean? Everybody's trading everything. Now, they don't necessarily see each other. So the Phoenicians probably never saw the guys who had the amber. It went through the Greeks and then it came there. Or the Afghanistan traded with, the Phoenicians, and then the Egyptians never met with someone from Afghanistan or never went there. It's not the same people. They're all just kind of trading again. The other thing we learned is that trade is going to make you rich. It's a really good way for a country and a person to become wealthy. When we combine Hatshepsut's luxurious trade routes with the trade that's taking place in the Eastern Mediterranean, Egypt is by far the wealthiest country at that time. They have luxury, they have weapons, they become powerful. So just like your shirt, just like the items in your refrigerator, and just like your computer, the ancient world got around. It had extensive trade and it made people rich. So if you want to get rich someday, look into trade.